This is a clip from a recent Pops live stream or video. Make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss the next one.
All right, we'll talk about a Japanese film now, Battle Royale, a 2000 sort of a dystopian film. Not sure I knew what I was getting myself into. It'd come up in conversation a couple times, and then most recently, I was talking about Running Man with the Gourd King, and we mentioned the fact that this has kind of been done like this. And the film starts with the fact that we have this bus of kids, and they sort of like gas the kids, and they're basically going to be on this island and forced to play this game where they basically just take each other out. They have to fight for survival. And it's sort of become a game that was created because somehow the adults are blaming the teens that they're out of control, and the teens sort of rise up. And there's a quick opening with like the school teacher, and there's like a stabbing, and who the classmate is, and the kids, and blah blah blah. But we get to basically the premise of the thing is we're going to give you rations, a map, some weapons. You guys got to take each other out. We're going to move you around from region to region over the course of a month, and then one kid left standing. That's it. Hope you don't like all your classmates because only one of you comes out alive. So I feel like we're doing a Hunger Games sort of film. There's your teacher.
Battle Royale!
バトルロワイヤル特別編4月7日
It doesn't work in some ways because we also have characters that aren't part of the original team that are kind of thrown into the mix. But I will say for its time, it was doing some very interesting things that uh, people probably didn't want to talk about, right? The teen violence and the hunting game and all these kinds of things that are sort of more commonplace now, Squid Game, and obviously the Hunger Games is probably the best example. But the characters are just so young. I think the biggest thing for me was I'm just confused because it doesn't translate well for me how old these kids are, and how I want to say how they're not astute to even what's going on in the game. I'm not even sure they know what's actually happening. So, and there's moments where characters are injured and they're just sort of like nursed back to health. And then there's like, oh, we're kind of poisoning, or then we're kind of not playing the game. We're just like, we're kind of leaning into sort of like just not participating. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, and are they moving from area to area by not participating? Are they clued into what's actually going on? So I know the story, and there's obviously a history here that is based on this novel, and it really is kind of, having a lot of commentary about authoritarianism and adults and that kind of thing. I know that Quentin Tarantino has also praised it as a film that he really does love. I will say I don't see that element of greatness here. I just see that maybe it was a little bit of ahead of its time for that type of commentary of, maybe it's not it's not as great as you think, oh, we'll always be friends thing. Oh yeah. Until you're put on an island and have to murder each other. Like, yeah. All the social dynamics come collapsing down eventually. This one's a slut and you're this, and oh, you said this about me and blah, blah, blah. So it Lord of the Flies kind of stuff kind of comes into play a little bit. But there's like a character who doesn't really speak, who's, he's just enjoying everything. You have moments of just, really cool visuals and some cool elements, I think, that I do like about it. But the film came out at a time that here in the States, it was just bad. It was just bad timing, right? Because I believe it came out very similarly to around the time of the Columbine incident. And I think very similar to the outrage that we have going back to, Clockwork Orange or something. You're going to have some outrage of people going, oh, no, we can't talk about that kind of violence and blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, it is interesting commentary, and it is definitely daring. And it's something that, again, way ahead of its time. And I wonder how much Hunger Games was inspired by Battle Royale. That said, I didn't enjoy it nearly as much as I thought I would. I actually thought with as much positive things that I had heard about this film, I thought it was actually going to be significantly more interesting. But I felt like I could kind of predict where some of the characters were going. There was a couple things I think that were, a big surprise, with one person helping this one, or surprise in doing this, not doing that. So there's a little bit of those surprises along the way, but not to the level that I expected. So I'm definitely going to anger some people with my score, and only score this a 3 out of 5, kind of a midland movie, slightly better than average, right in that center. But I don't feel like I'm ever going to really sit through that again. Wouldn't be my kind of film to watch again.